Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Belle Isle City Council meeting. And it's February 2nd, 6:33 p.m. Please silence all electronic devices, watches, iPads, phones, all that. If you would, I double check mine. And Madam Clerk, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Would you please confirm we have quorum?
Yes, we have a quorum, sir.
All right, great. And then, Commissioner Gold, would you please do the honors of invocation and pledge to the flag?
Lord, please watch over our deliberations tonight and help us to act in the best interest of our citizens and to do what's right. And watch over our first responders and all of our residents and keep everyone safe. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. All right. And then, Council, we have a few excused absences. The Vice Mayor announced last meeting he would not be able to attend. And then today we received a message from Commissioner Sims. And then, Madam Clerk, have you heard from Commissioner Reedy?
I'm not sure if he's going to be able to attend. He had chemo treatment yesterday, so I'm not sure how he's feeling today.
All right, as a continuation of Commissioner Gold's prayer, we'll keep him in our thoughts and prayers, and thank you for the update. We'll go ahead and, Commissioners, can I please have a motion to excuse the absence of the three commissioners I just mentioned?
Motion to excuse.
All right, by Commissioner Gold, do I have a second?
Yep.
Second. All right, any discussion? Seeing as there's none, all those in favor, Commissioner Nielsen, how are you tonight?
Oh, I'm well, thank you.
All right, and what's your vote on the motion on the floor to excuse the three other council members?
Oh, aye.
Aye. Commissioner Burton?
Aye.
Commissioner Schutt?
Aye.
Commissioner Gold?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Please adopt the same. Any other announcements before we go into that? No? Okay, great. We're gonna, this is a continuance for public hearing appeal case number 2020-09-07 pursuant to Belle Isle Code section 42-63 and section 54-84D. The council shall consider and take action on a requested special exception, to allow active recreational uses on property zoned open space district and pursuant to Belle Isle Code section 54-84G2. The council shall consider and take action on a requested site plan for Wallace Park improvements submitted by applicant City of Belle Isle, located at East Wallace Street, Belle Isle, Florida 32809, also known as parcel number 24-23-29-8977-00-021. And Mr. Francis, I'll let you lead the way on this, and we do have some public comment.
Yes, Your Honor. There is a correction on this. The council doesn't take action on the requested site plan for Wallace Park improvements because the site plan was tabled at the P&Z until the special exception for active recreational uses and also the building on the property until that was taken care of. So the site plan itself has been tabled by the P&Z and there was no vote on that. So therefore, you're only looking at the special exception for the active recreation and for the building on Wallace Field. So with that in mind, this is a public hearing that was continued from November 17, 2020. The P&Z board granted a special exception for active recreation on Wallace Field and also for building on Wallace Field, and that is being appealed. It states that when a decision is appealed by the board, the council will conduct a trial de novo hearing upon any special appeal taken from the ruling of the board, and that's what we're doing started on November 17th. Again, this is only for a special use, a special exception for the use, and if the council is going to consider the practice done by Cornerstone as active recreation, usually active recreation, when it comes to that, you have referees and you have organized sports. This is just practice. And then the building on the field will be some storage for the city's equipment, mowing equipment, and then also public restrooms. So there should be no discussion tonight on the site plan when it comes to drainage, when it comes to artificial turf on the field, when it comes to how many trees are on the field, where the gate's going to be. That again has been tabled at the P&Z, and those people who would like to testify on the site plan should attend the P&Z meeting and submit their testimony at that time. So I was not here on the 17th, but it was stated on the 17th that the criteria for approval of the P&Z meeting didn't meet code. The criteria for special exception approval is that a written application is submitted to the city manager or designee. Notice is required for the hearing before the board. The public hearing shall be held. Any party may appear. And the board shall make a finding that's empowered to make under the land use code. And it's determined that the public health, safety, comfort, order, convenience, prosperity, morals, or general welfare is promoted, protected, and improved. We feel, the staff feels that all that criteria was followed. A written application was filed, proper notice was provided, letters were mailed, the property was posted, a public hearing was held. At the public hearing, the public was allowed to speak, and the board made a decision. The board made a decision without conditions. That's the P&Z board. They made that decision without conditions, and the special exception was granted. They felt that it was granted because it would not affect the public interest, and that the general welfare of the public is improved by allowing the special exception for use by CCA and that public restrooms at Wallace Field.
All right, Harvey.
My computer broke down. Didn't get any charge.
I'll wait till you can see it.
This was an important meeting, so I thought I'd better come.
All you need is misses, and you can stay.
Sorry.
Do you have a preference on maybe this versus public comment?
No, but it's an improvement of that, the manager presentation.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm fine with that. I just was asking if you had a preference.
So, and just to wrap up, the staff recommendation is to approve the special exception for CCA use on the field as it's a non-structured activity, and also to allow the building on the field for restrooms and storage of city equipment.
All right. Anything else, Mr. Francis?
Not at this time.
Okay. We'll go first with the first public comment, who's already at the podium, Nathan Malone. Please state your name and address.
Good evening, Nathan Malone, 1990 West New Haven Avenue, Northern Florida. I'm here representing Jerry Malone, Artist Malone, Donnell Altice, Jeff Wall, Hillary Wall, James Keats, Caroline Keats, and Jim McRae. As a procedural matter, I reached out to Mr. Ardeman yesterday to discuss continuing this since my client's commissioner is not here this evening. My understanding is that Commissioner Carubio also reached out to the city manager requesting a continuance. My ask is if the council would continue this until March 2nd. I'm in depositions on both the 16th and the 17th. And I will be unable to attend on March 17th. I'll be out of state. So first I would like to ask the council to continue this until the area where the property is at issue can be properly have their commissioner present.
No.
And I received no correspondence from Commissioner Carigno to table this. None.
He was asked at the last public meeting when he announced that he was going to be absent if he would like us to continue. And I can't quote him exactly, but he said that, I trust my counsel.
My clients would like to strenuously object to that. And as a matter of fact, under your own city code, you can't even hear it this evening. The city code was not followed. Chapter 4271B3 states, and I quote, "The council shall render its decision on the appeal within 45 days after the filing of a notice of appeal, unless the council in its discretion extends the 45-day period." Further, paragraph B states that the council shall keep minutes of its meeting showing the votes or the absence of a vote and shall post it. To this day, months after the original hearing, the minutes have not been posted to the agenda and minutes page on the Belle website. And further, we are way past 45 days from when the notice of appeal was received. It's been 119 days since the notice of appeal was received. However, the council wants to vote on this 119 days after the notice was received by the city. The time for making the decision was not extended. It was a motion to adjourn the meeting, and that was after a motion to deny the special exception. So the city council cannot hear this tonight, and it would be an illegal action of the city. And first, my clients and as the neighboring property owners, there's one thing they want. They want the school to be able to use the field.
Well, hold on one second. You made a statement that this is not a legal proceeding. I'd like our council to have the opportunity to comment on that.
To be clear, I said this would be an illegal vote after the.
Or legal vote, well.
Mayor, council, I don't understand the objection. The council approved this hearing being moved forward, so the council has directed and extended the date for the hearing. So I don't see any basis for this being an illegal vote or an illegal hearing. So you can proceed if you see fit. You can certainly also either accept or reject the applicant's request, the appellant's request for a continuance, or you can deny that. But I don't see any reason why you cannot proceed tonight if you do not. I mean, if you wish to proceed with the hearing.
Okay, please proceed. You have 10 minutes.
I'll take as much time as I need. My clients are agreeable to the school being able to use the fields and for the special exemption to be granted with the conditions that there is no artificial turf, no parking, and no restroom facility. My clients are pro-school and think the school does great things for the community. The concern is with homeless, sexual predators, and other individuals coming in and using the park, as well as parking on the adjoining properties, and noise and light issues created by non-charter school organized sports. Second, my understanding is that the city council had an ex parte communication with the city manager where it was not at a noticed meeting where I was able to attend at one of the January meetings regarding this exact matter. And here, this is an interesting situation as the board hearing the matter is the same entity that's making the application. And my hope is that this city council can be fair and ensure that the city will play by the same rules that it writes for its citizens to play by. Moreover, my understanding is that in past appeal hearings held in 2020, members of the city council have stated that there's too many decisions of the P&Z board getting overturned and that the P&Z board decisions need to be respected. This is in no way what is contemplated by the Belle City Code or by the term a de novo hearing. And further, this board is not making policy, but is instead applying the law to the facts to make a decision. If the decision of the P&Z board is wrong or appealed, then it needs a de novo hearing with zero deference to the board, to the planning and zoning board, and the city council must make the decision. Finally, at the November 17th hearing, Mr. Orderman correctly stated that the evidence in the packet is competent substantial evidence. I agree with that. But look at the November 17th packet. There is nothing in there that counts as competent substantial evidence for why this should be granted. All it was feelings about the appeal itself. Furthermore, even if the city presented competent substantial evidence, My clients presented testimony to show that the city was not entitled to the special exception, as it would be against the requirements that are needed to grant the special exception. Let's be clear, my clients want this to be like every other park in Belle Isle that is owned and operated by Belle Isle as a park. According to the Belle Isle website, there's 10 parks in Belle Isle. There are Belle Isle parks. There's Warren Park is listed on there, but that's an Orange County park. Regal Park, which is located at Hoffner and Montmartre, has no parking and contains a natural field. Venetian Park contains no parking. Venetian Boat Ramp, no parking. Cross Lake Beach, no parking. Leicester Park, no parking spaces. Swan Beach, no parking. Delia Beach, no parking. Perkins Boat Ramp, no parking. Lagoon Park, no parking. Gilbert Park, no parking. And I agree that parks like the ones I just mentioned are great for the community and great for property values. However, by attracting the homeless, attracting only a few parking spots for the park hurts property values. And this evidence about what might happen is proper. The Second District Court of Appeal in the City of St. Petersburg versus Cardinal Development stated that individuals in the neighboring property owner can testify as to what the effects would be after a special exception. In sum, this council has more than enough reasons to vote to deny the special exception tonight. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Maloon. And then we have Charlene Cross. Please come to the podium, state your name and address.
Am I allowed to take off my mask or speak through my mask? I'll speak through my mask. Okay. I'm Charlene Cross, 5260 Chiswick Circle, Belle Isle, Florida. And I'm a mom, and I have 3 kids at Cornerstone Charter Academy, and I'm an active mom. And this Wallace Field was purchased, how many years ago? 3 or 4 years ago. We worked on plans. They were approved. The school could really use this property, and I don't understand why it's being voted on again. I think a year and a half ago, I brought to the council 100 people, parents that signed petitions and gave it to all the commissioners. Everything was voted on. The school supports the use. We need the use in the land for the kids, and I know you said you don't want parking, you know, but there might be an issue with people that can't walk that far there. I mean, there is parking on campus, but restrooms, how can you be out of a park and be coaching kids, you know, at practice, and then there's no place for them to go to the restroom? That's a big safety issue for the community, that, you know, we really need those restrooms out there for, you know, for the kids. And I understand not wanting homeless in the parks, but wouldn't it be locked like all of our other parks are at dark and dusk, so there would be, you know, people, the restrooms would be locked at night? So how is that a concern than any other different park in this community? So I've talked to many parents at the school, and I didn't organize a petition or talk to for this meeting because we've already done that before. It just seems like a repeat of what we've already discussed, what we've already been approved, what's already gone to the school board at, you know, Cornerstone School Board, and all of a sudden, all the plans that have been worked on all these years seem to be wanting to be thrown out the window, and they want like a revote, and that just doesn't make sense to me. As a mom and as a citizen of Belle Isle, we need to go forward with this. Otherwise, it's just an empty piece of land that's useless to the community, and it's not just for the school, it's for the community. I love the walking path idea and having people be able to go and walk there. Right now, every time I've been there and parked there and done events there, I just get bitten by ants. I mean, just step out of my car and I'm full of ants. So we just need this space, you know, revitalized and used for the entire community, and not just the couple citizens that live around the park. It's for the community, and that's what it was purchased for.
Mrs. Cross, what neighborhood do you live in?
I live in Windsor Place.
And if you were to come visit the park today, would you likely drive, walk, or bicycle?
I would drive.
And if you were to visit the park today and drive, where would you park?
I would have to park on the school, in the school parking lot, or by the school, side streets by the school, and walk is where, that's the only.
What if the gates are locked to the school? Would you have anywhere reasonable to park in proximity to the land the city owns?
Yeah, it would be really nice to have parking down there, but I understand their concern that we really do need parking down there.
My question is if you had to go there today to visit the field, you wanted to go there,
Yeah.
and to you it's useless. Do you have a parking accommodation within reasonable distance
No, there isn't within reasonable distance. It's a fairly long walk.
Okay, I got you. All right, I just wanted to understand from where you live, how you would use the park. Thank you.
Yes.
May I cross-examine her?
Sure.
Do you visit other Belle Isle parks?
I have, yes.
Do you drive there?
Yes.
Where do you park?
I've been to Swansville Park recently, and I parked on the side street there right in front of the park where there's parking.
How far do you live from Wallace Park?
From Wallace Park. It's pretty far. I mean, 3 miles. I live in Windsor Place, which is down near the corner of Conway and Hoffner.
Are there other parks that are just as close to you?
Are there other parks closer to me? Yes, there are. But this one is open. It would be one of the biggest parks in the city, and it has such a big open space. And then they're talking about putting in a walking trail. Like none of our other parks really have a walking trail or those types of things. And a big open space to run around on.
And you think the school should be able to use the park?
Absolutely.
How would you feel if, let me start that. Do you have kids?
Yes, I do. I have 3 kids.
Do you want your kids to be safe at the school?
I do want my kids to be safe at the school.
How do you propose the police sweep the park prior to the school using it? To make sure there's not sexual predators or people in the restroom?
If you're not comfortable answering the question, you don't have to.
I'm not
You stood up to give your
but-
public comment, not to get cross-examined. So if you're finished with your comment.
I mean, there is a
When you say sweep the park, I'm assuming restrooms will be locked at certain times. And when they open the restrooms, they'll look and make sure nobody's in the restrooms. And the fence that's being proposed, you can look through the fence and see who's in the park and who's not in the park. So I don't understand the security risk that you're saying.
Are you aware that the appellants in this matter are not opposed to the school using it whatsoever?
I heard your statement, and I've heard them before, and they're nice, and I've talked to them before, and they're nice people. I understand that.
Thank you, no further questions.
All right. Thank you, Mrs. Cross. And we'll go with Mr. Gary Malone. Please come to the podium, state your name and address.
Gary Malone, 6101 Matchett Road, Belle Isle, Florida, 32809. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council members. Again, I'd like to state and go on the record saying that we do not oppose the school. We have actually are in favor of the school using it as a practice field. The special exemption that we would like to see is that it would be passive still recreation, not active recreation, because active recreation then allows that park to be used by anybody in the county, not just city residents. So therefore, we feel that this could then start to impact our quality of life and our surrounding home values and things of this nature as that starts to go down. Go to Barber, I think it's Barber Park, go to Cypress Grove Park on any Saturday or Sunday and look at the recreational sports that are going on there. These are local clubs and teams practicing there. We may not have an opportunity to use this beautiful park as residents if it is done that way. Because once a park is named a park in Orange County, it is open to all Orange County and to all activities, especially if you grant a special exception for active recreation, not passive. We would like it to stay passive and be used for the school, for those team sports, for the band, for whomever needs to go out there and use those fields at that time. So we're not opposed to that. We are opposed to a building being there and bathrooms. If I understand and remember correctly from the last meeting, the gentleman here who had drawn the drawings and been working with the city for 1.5 years stated the school did not want parking on that. They did not want parking. And in Mr. City Manager Bob Francis's own words, he said, the school does not want parking. I want parking. The city wants parking on there. Okay? Dr. Panto has requested or made comment that no parking be on there. So we're not asking for things that nobody else wants. We're asking what the school is actually asking and what City Manager Francis said the school wanted from the very beginning when we started meeting with him almost 2 years, 3 years ago, whenever we talked the property. We've had meetings. Some of the residents are here. Some are on Zoom this evening. have met with him and Commissioner Carugno, and let him know what our thoughts were for him. Let's see what else. Oh, originally, this city council, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, I think, that were here when this property was purchased, if I remember correctly, and it was purchased under the assumption of green space. They even had to create their own new code for green space for that property to be used for that. So again, we're not asking anything different than what originally was stated in this city chambers 3 years ago. What we're afraid of is what happens every time this board, or the city manager, new mayor comes in, decides that the wind is blowing this way, and the field is going to be used this way or that way. Those are our concerns. Those are our long-term effect on our livelihood and our well-being and peace and tranquility. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. So members of the audience doing public comment, rules of council, we have a 3-minute. I ran a little over out of respect to Mr. Balloon, but please try to keep it at 3 minutes. And next we have Mr. McCray. Jim McCray, please come to the podium, state your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Jim McCray. I live at 1303 East Wallace. And I would like to renew and urge you to please consider our request that you delay this meeting until our commissioner from District 2 can be here. I'm aware, I found out just the other day that he made a comment at the last meeting. He knew he would not be able to be here, but when I spoke to him, he assured me that he was going to reach out to Mr. Francis. Mr. Francis said that he'd received no correspondence, but he didn't say he didn't receive any reaching out or discussions with our commissioner. There's 3 commissioners missing.
Two.
One came, Mr. Reddy came afterwards. When we started, there were 3, including ours. So I would just urge you to consider our representation. He's not here. He was the main vocal at the last time, and we feel like he should be here as well as the other missing commissioners. There's not going to be any prejudice. There's no urgency. And Mr. Mayor, I think you were corrected by the manager, but you were correct. This is a new application. This is a new special exception. Last time we were here, we were talking about the site plan. Now it's just the building. How do you talk about a building without a site plan? The whole site plan is back tabled at P&Z. Why do you have to move forward with the building? Especially, particularly now the building, which earlier it was described as a school building, now it's just a municipal storage building with public restrooms. At the last meeting,
Mr. McCray, I'm sorry to interrupt you. This meeting is about a requested special exception to allow active recreational uses on property zoned to open space district and pursuant to Belle Isle Code. It is not about the site plan. It is not about the building. And Mr. Francis said we're not prepared to talk about that.
And that's why I'm saying this is actually a new meeting, not the continuation of the last one. You're proceeding on something different because it's been changed from the last meeting. And so it is, you're past the time. We did not want to have to do that. What we wanted to do was have a hearing with the full commission, and especially our commissioner president, so that everything could be discussed and we can go back to the P&Z. We didn't want to be here cross-examining witnesses and proceeding on legal terms. But you're really leaving us no choice by steamrolling this when you don't have to. The last time when we were here, the school representative got up at the end of the meeting and he said, we don't want restrooms. We don't need restrooms. We don't want parking. We don't need parking. All they wanted was a field. Now, what we're really proceeding on now is approval of a municipal building with public restrooms. And we're just asking you to please, at least, why do you need a building before you even have the site plan? why go forward? So I would urge you to please consider our rights and our representation and wait until you have a full commission, and particularly our commission. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. McCray. City Council, we have a request from the malls to speak via Zoom, and if you all are okay with that, I'd like to allow it. Madam Clerk, I don't know if can they hear me?
Yes, they can.
It's just same rules apply as before. There's no combining time, so if each mall would like their 3 minutes, I'm happy to give them the three minutes. And as soon as we get them up on the screen or on the phone, we'll start the time.
Thank you very much. This is Hillary Mall. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Ball.
Okay, thank you. For the record, it's Hillary Mall, representing Henry and Jeff Mall, 1130 Waltham Avenue, Belle, Florida. Thanks for hearing us. I appreciate that. Under my own misunderstanding, I did not think that this was going forward tonight, so forgive me, I'm a little ill-prepared. I was under the impression it would be postponed. I would have been there in person had I known, so I'll make it brief. I think you've heard everything that we have to say. I'm a little unclear on exactly what's being voted on tonight versus a continuance of the last meeting, or if it's new. I think it's kind of irrelevant at this point. I don't feel like we have all the commissioners there, and I don't know that everything is a level playing field here. Well, let me correct my words. It's not that it's not a level playing field, but I feel like if it's going on tonight, then the decision's going to be what it is. So I just want to go on record saying we're scared to death of the bathrooms. If you put them in, can you at least have the school control the bathrooms only and lock them out to the public? It is a big disservice to have open public restrooms in our backyard. Nothing good is going to come from that. I can tell you, I mean, maybe it'll be an I told you so. At this point, all of my facts and all of the previous information we presented in a methodical method, I don't know if it's gone out the door, but I'm not going to repeat it again. This is just a pleading, a begging. Please think this through and be fair, because those uncontrolled bathrooms are something that is just really going to impact our daily lives and the quality of our lives living in our own backyards. With that, I'm not sure what else I can say. Thank you for letting us speak.
Thank you, Mrs. Ball. And Mr. Morales, I saw you walk in late. I'll definitely give you some time. I've got an email that was requested to be read with council, so I'll do that first while you're filling out your form. And this is a statement for public comment by Liza Jennings on behalf. Liza writes, on behalf of board members of, and this was from today, February 2nd, 2021, it's entered into the record. On behalf of board members of Cornerstone Academy Foundation, please submit the statement into public comment of tonight's City of Belle Isle commission meeting. Due to COVID, we prefer to submit this electronically to be read tonight's meeting. Thank you. Good evening, City of Belle Isle Commissioners. The Cornerstone Academy Foundation is a nonprofit organization founded and supported by the families of CCA. Our mission is to enhance the student learning environment and enrich the K-12 experience at Cornerstone Academy. In our founding year last year, we gathered over 250 supporters to this mission. We, the board members of the Cornerstone Academy Foundation, are writing to voice our support of improvements to the Wallace Street property for active recreational use. We have watched the project progress for several years now and see much potential for our community and our children to gather, practice, and play on this site. We urge you to act tonight to move forward with your vote to 1, allow active recreational use of the property, 2, approve the Wallace Field site plan, and 3, affirm the shared use agreement between the City of Belle Isle and the school. As active community members and CCA parents, we appreciate every opportunity to strengthen the bond between the City of Belle Isle and our school. We believe that your decisive role in support of Wallace Street improvements tonight does just that. We look forward to enjoying the Wallace Street recreational facilities in the near future. Thank you, Cornerstone Academy Foundation board members, Tricia Jones, Jen Marks, Dina Fotso, Liza Jennings, Liz Clemens, Laura Hagdorn, Brian Horwitz, Greg Akis, Christy Coster, Yeen Lee, Dr. Janelle Bartfield, Dr. Dan Pavlik, and Jennifer West, and if I mispronouncing his name, I do apologize for that. And doing the best I can under the time constraints. Perfect. And Mr. Miles, did you have yellow? Sure. Thank you, sir. Please state your name and address once you get to the podium.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Larry Miles. Pleasure to be here with you all. I just want to thank you guys for doing a great job. You know, I know it's a thankless job sometimes, especially when you're dealing with two different sides who are both vocal about what they want. You know, the main thing is you guys look for reason. You got to just be reasonable about what the community wants, what you have different groups that want to meet their needs. The school wants to be able to use the property. We get that. I'm a neighbor. I'm not involved with the suit that is being filed, but I have an active interest because I care about our community, just like you guys do. Above all, this is a special property. This is a historic piece of property, part of Will Wallace Harney's original homestead. It is a unique story that we're able to tell from our community right in our local area that we want to see you guys embrace. Whether there ends up being bathrooms, whether there ends up being construction done, or potentially moving buildings over there, you got to think about the character of the community. When you look down the road, you see all these trees, you see a heavily wooded area. I would love personally to see this turned into a master planned park with trees throughout, where people can meander through the whole thing, where residents from all over the city would come over to really enjoy a peaceful area, not necessarily active recreation. I can understand maybe a clearing somewhere in the middle, but overall you want to have something special. I mean, you've got neighbors across who have all these beautiful wooded properties that go deep. Why not make that park look better than those properties right there? By having the children get involved with planting and designing a master planned park, rather than just another sports field. We have plenty of sports fields in Orange County, plenty of them. You go across the other side of the city if you want to play athletic sports. Let an open area where they can fly kites, some place where they can enjoy. And if you guys do feel like you need a bathroom, well, you've got a building that we would like to see saved. Pine Castle Historical Society recognizes the Lancaster House as an important structure in the community. If you need a bathroom, take that building, move it to the field. Save that building, utilize something that we have already, and it'll keep the character of the community. If you end up designing a new building, if that's what you decide to do, consider the character of potentially maybe even looking at the old style of the Pine Castle itself, which was located in that property. Consider something architectural along those lines. We just don't want to have another building stuck out there that doesn't fit, that doesn't have any character to it. We would just like to have this looking special. And I know you guys have a difficult choice. I don't know if this is beyond what we were specifically deciding tonight, but I just want to kind of share those ideas with you guys. Yes, Mr. Mayor? Are you slow?
I was just letting you know you're at 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much.
If you want to wrap it up, just wrap it up.
Yeah, I feel like I've kind of explained. You know, I know you guys are trying to do the best you can working with this situation. It's a beautiful park. Make it something really special for Belle Isle. That is above all, okay?
Thank you, Mr. Miles. Appreciate your testimony. Do we have any other members from the public, Madam Clerk? Any other?
I do not have any.
Just wanted to welcome Council-elect Rick Miller. Do you have any? Did you want to fill out a card or anything? Okay.
Nothing down, I just came in to listen.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, looks like the public comment portion of this is closed, Council. You have. This is the time for you all to have some thought-provoking chatter amongst yourselves, and I'm going to try to limit and stay on time. We've got roughly about 15 minutes to have a dialogue. If you see fit, propose a motion. But we're going to start the dialogue. I'm going to go with Commissioner Parton, if that's all right. If you're not ready, I got to start somewhere. But
Yeah, I heard a lot from the council that's here tonight, so sometimes you have to wade through a lot of this kind of stuff to know what's, not that he's not speaking factual, but I'm not doing my job if I don't corroborate all these statements. Whether it was purchased under the auspices of green space, if that was the original decision of the board at that time. I wasn't here, so I don't know. I have an idea, but I don't see, I need to hear it from somebody. Can the park be used in a passive way as it is? Does it have to be active? Do we have to change that? What are the ramifications if we don't change it? Those are some of the initial questions that I have.
Mr. Prince, do you want to answer any of those?
It's helpful to go over active versus passive for it.
I mean, I know what the two words mean, but what does it mean in the way of, what's stopping, a baseball team from coming over there and playing around now, as opposed to making it active? And, is it semantics?
To the attorney.
Mayor, council members, the code has a definition for active recreation versus passive. Active recreation is generally any recreational activity that requires significant infrastructure for the purposes of active sports or organized events. It is about engaging in adventure sports or outdoor games. An active park refers to structured recreational activities which require specialized parkland development and management, which may restrict general use of the parkland or facility. Examples of active recreation include, but are not limited to, sports fields, ball fields, playgrounds, skate parks, swimming pools, gymnasiums, and outdoor theaters. The definition of passive recreation is as follows. Passive recreation area is generally an undeveloped space or environmentally sensitive area that requires minimal development. Emphasis is placed on preservation of wildlife and the environment. Passive park use refers to less structured recreational activities which require little or no specialized parkland development and management, and therefore can be provided at a low cost to communities. It involves casual activities and pursuit of hobbies with no adverse impact to the natural habitat. Examples of passive recreation include, but are not limited to, walking and jogging, hiking and nature walks, community gardens, painting, photography, kite flying, picnicking, frisbee, fishing, and outdoor theaters. Those are the two definitions, and I think that Bob referred to the actual zoning in place, the open space, that by right now, without any special exception, passive recreational uses are allowed. Non-commercial agricultural or horticultural, such as community gardens, and customary accessory uses in support of those first two. Special exceptions include two items in the open space category. Number one, active recreational uses requires a special exception under the zoning, as well as public municipal government buildings without repair facilities or outdoor storage yards. Hopefully that's helpful.
Hopefully that's helpful to everybody.
Yeah.
Including the public.
Do you have anything else right now, Jim?
Not at the moment. Thank you, Commissioner Park, excuse me.
Commissioner Niels?
First, I want to say that we have gone over this many, many times. And I would say the vast majority of our citizens support the field being used for school practice. There are differences about restrooms, what if, but yet, I mean, some people who are older, like grandparents, kind of need a place to go to the bathroom if they take their kids out to the park that's a distance from their house. And it is, I mean, not, the other parks in Belle are mainly used by people in the immediate neighborhood. This was purchased for the purpose of having a place for everybody in the community to go out and enjoy the open space. And yes, I was on the council when we purchased the property. We did make that stipulation that it would be open space for the use of everybody in the community. The special exception would allow, for one thing, the school teams to hold practice on the field. Okay, that's not saying it has to be a certain setup. There's no development needed for that, other than leveling the field and filling in the gopher holes so that people don't sprain their ankles and such. If there were a possibility of another building, and I understand the building across Wallace, which is an older building, belongs to Pine Castle Methodist, I believe. Maybe some of the people who really don't want a restroom could help with the cost to purchase that building, and it could be across Wallace and not in the park. Parking could be over there too. There's quite a bit of space. And it's an option that we have not considered formally or in a meeting, but it seems to me it's a compromise that is worth consideration. So I would like everybody to kind of think about that and what all is involved, or would be. And it'd be nice if this could be a community effort and not more expense to the city. Of course, we can always pass the cost along, which people don't like that either, but I think that I would like us to look at the compromise of being able to use the building across the street. I understand the church has no use for it any longer. I believe that somebody has made an offer on the building, but I don't know what the outcome of that was.
4 minutes.
But,
You're at 4 minutes.
What is this building? Where is it?
it's right across the street from Wallace. It's an old,
That's a pretty good idea.
Fire department?
it might have been a fire department.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it was. So Commissioner Nielsen, I like this idea that you have. I like that you're presenting an idea at least, and that you're looking to find some resolve in this sticky wicket here of the situation. One question I would ask quickly to kind of help start to funnel that down and maybe poke holes in it is, Larry Miles is here tonight. His backyard backs up to that facility. So, Larry, if you don't mind, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot with this new idea, but how would you feel if no building gets built or it's significantly reduced, and I don't even know what that means, whether it's a small storage shed, or it's not even a building, it's a shed for equipment, whether it's to maintain the field or whatever, or nothing is there. And then the city, in some way, finds funding, we got the budget committee chair here, but finds funding, whether it's private, maybe the neighbors and the city, some kind of partnership to do bathrooms and parking, ancillary parking. Still might make it a little far for some people to walk if they need to use the bathroom for ADA, so we may still have to, I'm just problem solving as kind of on the fly here, you may still have to have some limited number to accommodate ADA. That'd be weird to have ADA parking here and then your facility, your bathroom facility, but that would all have to be hashed through. The first question, I guess, is throwing a couple of those things at you. Would you have any opposition if the city owned that property to offset some of the environmental concerns you have, some of the improvement, challenges you see there? Is there any merit to this, or are you going to then oppose us on that?
So this is obviously the first time.
I don't want to trade. What I want to do is I don't want to trade one fight for another fight. I'm not saying it's a fight, but a disagreement for another disagreement. But we're still not making the neighbors happy. But I think Commissioner Nielsen, I'll commend her, is trying to come up with something.
Well, that's what I like about Commissioner Nielsen. She is trying to find solutions. That building is a historic building that you're discussing. That was the original volunteer, Pine Castle Volunteer Fire Department. They've been instrumental in our community, so the preservation of that building is very important. Love to see that building be brought back to life, to look nice. There's also the potential for there's a field next door to that, which if the city was to pursue purchasing that field, that would give more space to the city. You could utilize that for parking. It wouldn't have to be paved. It could be, again, continue to be useful. To me, the more property that the city has, it allows up to the less development to take place. The main thing we want to do is retain the character of the community. When we add and change by adding more buildings, changing what everyone becomes accustomed to enjoying, starts taking away the character of the community. And that's, I think, overall what the neighbors and those folks who are around there really enjoy is that the natural look of the community, how everything is not new. We don't have a bunch of new stuff out there. Not saying new is bad. It's just when you get to like my son, he's seen this field for a long time. He's come to appreciate the beauty of it and enjoy it. Seeing the building that you just kind of brought me up to mention, if we could see that restored, that would add character to the community. If we were to preserve this, space next door. You guys, as public servants, your goal is to serve the community in the best way you can and to preserve properties. I think those kind of all work in line.
So it sounds like you'd be, just to say it more succinctly, you would be in favor.
I think,
and you would be open to working with the city to preserve the building and create a more user-friendly use for that building to offset some of the intensity of the Wallace Field impact to there. You're open to that.
It seems initially it makes sense. Okay? Without having the time to really think it all through and calculate where.
You reserve the right to change your mind.
Correct.
Yourself.
There you go.
Okay. It probably all depends on what the council puts before you, what the city manager puts before you. Okay. But segueing back to Commissioner Nielsen, because I needed to, so that she could hear if her idea had any merit. I don't know that you were finished. And then after you conclude, we're going to go to Commissioner Shuck, who I saw his hand up first.
I had mine up first. I had mine up at the same time.
You know what, Rick, I'm going to let it slide.
I had mine up the same time.
All right, okay, you got it.
Is it open to me now?
I don't know. It's up to Commissioner Nielsen.
I think that's pretty much what I wanted to say. I don't want to abandon the idea, and it sounds like everybody wants the school to be able to practice on the field. I want that, and there will need to be a clearing, but that's in the site plan. If it were possible to do it without parking in a building on that field, I think that would be awesome and nobody would be upset as long as there was a place to go to the bathroom and park the car.
Okay. Yes, Commissioner Reed.
Let's be sensible about this. We bought this property with city money. Somebody said we bought it with school money, but the school didn't buy it, did they?
No.
We bought it with earnings we made from the school. So let's get that straight. And the second thing is, since this is a public facility owned by the whole city, it makes sense, just like Warren Park, we should have facilities up there for people so little boys and girls don't squirt in the middle of the field while they have to go instead of going over there and getting a drink of water and doing their thing. It's stupid to do it any other way if we're going to have the public come in and use it. Whether the whole damn county uses it or we use it, we have to have facilities like that in a place like that. We also have to have limited parking, just like Warren Park, because there really isn't any place to park up there that's open. And it doesn't have to be open 24/7 like Warren Park closes their place at sun up and sundown. And we have a loyal, worthy police department and also maintenance department that can do those things. We can make it into a first-class facility for all the city to enjoy, to come down there and, do what they do. Even, like, we don't have a park in the city other than Warren Park that I know of where we can do a picnic, we can barbecue things, we allow that. And these are things we need to consider, but the basics is we got to have facilities for the people if it's going to be a park. I don't care if it's a football park, they don't have to run around a wall just to go wee-wee. I think that's silly. We need to have something there for them to relieve themselves. And also we need a place, if it's going to be used by the public, city special or not, we need a few little parking spots for them in there. And if we don't have that, we are really taking the money given to us by the city to buy this property and abusing the privilege of having spent city public money on this facility. We should never bought it in the first place, in my opinion. I realize now I probably was part of it, and I probably made a mistake. But if we're just gonna make it into a walking field, that's okay too. But we still need some place for the people to park their cars. Because people way over there at Lake Conway Estates that want to come over there, sure is not gonna ride over there in a car if they can't park. They may ride a bicycle, and even then we need some places for bicycles. So let's think this out to the basics and not worry about some of this other highfalutin details we're talking about. We need to do something to the park that's basic to make it first class or livable. And so if we do make it look like the restroom facilities look like the original house in Pine Castle, that's fine. But we don't need it built right on the road. Maybe we need it over in the corner there so people in the park can go use it, just like Warren Park. They don't have the restroom right at the entrance. They thoughtfully put it out in the middle of the park where you have to be in the park physically to use it unless you want to use it, and then you go someplace else. And then the police department can go down there and monitor it and take care of it, just like the county does at Warren Park. What's the big deal? That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner Reedy. Commissioner Chuck, you're next. We're starting to run a little bit over time, so.
Well, I was going to try to keep my comments to just one or two, but I've got actually comments and statements. I've only received 2 emails from constituents about we're going to discuss at the meeting tonight. Both were in favor of granting a special exception. And both the people I've spoken to have said the same thing. We're going, as a council, down the same rabbit hole we've been going down for the last 6 months. We're discussing site plans, and we're not discussing the one thing we're supposed to be dealing with, which is granting or not granting a special exception. You know, we could sit here for 3 hours and talk about, well, it's okay to have a bathroom here, but no, let's move it over 6 feet over here. That's not what we're here to discuss tonight. Okay, we're here to discuss one thing, and that's the special exception. I'm looking through my files, and anybody who knows me, and a lot of you do, I'm a paper keeper. I've got a file here, a piece of paper here from May of 2019, and since the site plan information's been brought up, it's got pictures of what was proposed back in May of 2019. And it shows just about everything we're talking about tonight. So, as far as I'm concerned, we're talking about things, we've been doing it for 40 minutes about something we're not even supposed to be talking about. Okay? And at that point, unless there's some more comments, I'd like to make a motion.
Mr. Gold, you would be the last council member that has not had a chance to comment.
That's true.
You have the floor.
Thank you.
And then I'm going to respect Commissioner Shuck's request to make a motion next.
Okay, well, just out of historical context for those that want to know what went on when we bought the property back in it was 2016, I don't remember what month. It was 2016, Commissioner Nielsen and Commissioner Reedy and I were on the council at the time. Our primary objective was to keep it from being developed. That's what we wanted. We didn't want any more development in our city. We didn't want 6 or 7 more houses going there. That's why we bought the property, and we wanted to preserve the use that CCA was already getting on that property. The former owner let them practice on this property. We thought if we owned it, we could fill in all the gopher holes and do all of that, make it a little bit nicer for them. I don't think anybody ever dreamed of putting buildings on it, because the very idea, we created the open space zoning specifically for that property. We realized we have an obligation to our charter to have a certain amount of green space. We were required to maintain so much green space, and we were grossly neglecting that requirement. And so this was a way to help catch up on the lack of green space that we were obligated to bring into the city every year. So those were our main objectives, was basically make sure they could still use the field for practicing, make sure it wasn't going to get developed, and build towards that green space requirement that we had. And there was no other purpose at that time. We weren't thinking, let's make a park for the people. That came later. Somewhere down the road, somebody decided this needed to be a park and everybody needed to get to use it. But that wasn't the original decision. So we're going to basically have to go back on something somewhere. So not that there's any relevance to the fact that that's why we did it then. That doesn't matter now. This is what people want now. We have to take that into consideration. We got 3 groups of people here that we need to satisfy. We got the local residents. The last thing I want to do is mess up their lives, put something by them that creates a nuisance. You got the city as a whole. They're the ones that paid for it. They certainly deserve to be, considered. You got 7,000 people that put their money into this thing. And then you got the school that we want to support. So it's a matter of, how do we balance all of those? I absolutely love the idea of the fire department there. For that matter, maybe we could talk to Station 70 and find out, are we allowed to use their bathrooms when somebody needs to go? It's right there. It's walking distance. If we could get permission to do that, you got firemen there to look out for them. You can't ask for any better than that. Their safety to be assured. I guarantee you there'll be no pedophiles in our station there. So that may be an even better option. We look at how can we support them and get a reciprocity arrangement there where we're allowed to use their bathroom. That's all I got. Thank you.
You know what? I needed to enter one more public comment into the record. I'm sorry for it's from Tanner Davis, 51308 Oak Island Road, which I believe is in the same district as this. It says, Dear Mayor Foraker, I'm in favor of the proposed improvements to the park. I'm only familiar with the plans through recent Facebook posts since the last Belle Isle meeting where the topic had to be tabled. Since the property belongs to the people of Belle Isle, it should be at the people of Belle Isle's discretion on what to do with the property. It looks to me that the commissioners and yourself are doing just that. I'm in favor of the proposed improvements to the park. Sincerely, Tanner Davis, 5138 Oak Island Road, 32809. And then, Attorney Yard.
Yes, Mayor, Council, before you proceed, Councilmember Commissioner Shuck is correct with respect to the issue before you. It's whether or not a special exception should be approved or denied. And the issue is not with respect to the site plan. The code criteria with respect to a special exception are really twofold, that assuming the board makes a finding that you as the council are empowered under the Land Development Code to grant the special exception or deny it, then you can. You've received evidence and advice from me and Bob that this is a proper request, which is under the zoning of open space, special exception is allowed if the criteria are met. So the two primary criteria are, number one, that if the council finds, and if you find this to be the case, special exception shall not adversely affect the public interest, shall not adversely affect the public interest. Number two, you determine that the public health, safety, comfort, order, convenience, prosperity, morals, or general welfare is promoted, protected, or improved. Those two criteria would have to be met for you to grant the special exception based on what you have heard and in testimony and evidence with respect to this hearing. So again, if you are inclined to move this forward, then you should make a determination that you are empowered to grant a special exception, and that you find that those two criteria, that the special exception shall not adversely affect the public interest, and you make a determination that the public health, safety, comfort, order, convenience, prosperity, morals, or general welfare is promoted, protected, or improved would be appropriate. If you think that what you've heard, the evidence for you, that those criteria are not met, then you can also make the motion to deny because those criteria are not met. Thank you. Oh, one last thing. You do have the ability under your code to put conditions. You can condition the approval if you see fit to approve the special exception with certain conditions. Again, this is to the use, not the design, if you see fit to approve it, just the use of an active park in the institutional government building. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Orr. All right, per my pledge, Commissioner Shuck, you wanted to bring a motion to the floor.
Yeah. Pardon me, Mayor, I'd like to refute one thing that the attorney mentioned, was that one of the main reasons that they would like to have the table, or have this proposal tabled is because a commissioner is not here. Well, if that were the case, there would be many, many meetings that we would have, or would not be able to do any business simply because a commissioner was not here. All of us were elected to represent the entire city, even though we're required to live in a particular district. So the absence of a particular commissioner, in my opinion, should have no bearing on it. With that said, I'd like to make a motion. I move that we approve the special exceptions for Wallace Field to allow CCA to use the field for practice and to allow a building on Wallace Field.
And that those criteria have been met that I enunciated?
And that those criteria have been met. Discussion?
All right, we have a motion to approve. I'm trying to find them. Yes, sir. Make sure I read it correctly.
Page 4.
Just taking that on another page. We have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Shuck to approve the special exceptions for Wallace Field to allow CCA to use the field for practice and to allow building on Wallace. We have a second.
And that the criteria have been met.
And the criteria, excuse me, and that criteria have been met. Anything else? Okay. And we have a second by Commissioner Reedy. Any discussion?
No, I didn't second it. I wanted to discuss it.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's why I restate who said what. Did we have a second too?
Do we have a second?
So,
I'm sorry, who made the second? I can't hear over these sometimes.
well, I did, and I think Commissioner Parton did.
I would just clarify, and I said I thought he had to make, if he was gonna discussion, it had to first be a second for discussion.
Correct.
So I would just
Is there
state it. I apologize.
Were you a second for discussion, or were you a second for discussion?
Reed.
Okay, so we're gonna start with Commissioner Reedy. We have a second by Commissioner Reedy, and he wanted some discussion. We do need to limit it. We're vastly over.
I didn't make a second,
Okay.
and you'll have to get it from somebody else.
Commissioner Parton made the second. If there's no further discussion,
No, I want to discuss it.
No, I did, I'll explain. Ms. Nielsen said second, and I said, I think you have to do second with discussion.
Yes.
okay, now I'm hearing.
I was just trying to.
That's between the masks and this, that's why I'm doing
I
some time to
probably
make
jumped
sure we
the
get it
gun.
right.
If it doesn't get seconded, there's no need to discuss it.
Yeah, no, it's been seconded by Commissioner Parton. That's been made abundantly clear. And Commissioner Reedy, you've got.
No, seconded by Commissioner Nielsen.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
More discussion.
Nielsen. And Parton was helpful in.
Well,
Commissioner Reedy, you have the floor. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, Mr. Shook, in this discussion, building, would you, do you want to specify what that building is? Is it an outhouse, or is it a jungle gym? What is it?
That's part of the site plan issue. That's nothing to do with the special exception.
When you make a motion, you don't have to specify what kind of building it is? You just say it's a building? It could be a skyscraper?
No.
If it falls within code, yes.
Well, okay, that's easy then. I didn't. I'm done.
Do you have anything to add?
Well, if somebody wants to limit that, they can make an amendment to the motion, but Commissioner Shuck's motion is a building, and if there's a request by any member of the council to put a condition on that, they certainly can move to amend it, if they so fit.
I put a condition on it that the facility be a functional restroom with drinking facilities unless we come up with an alternative plan to put a restroom across the street in another facility.
So, Mr. Francis, do you have the square footage of the building? That might be easier just to give them the depiction of what was designed and say limited to that, to make the
building for the field. I wouldn't know that.
Oh, you got a limitation on it?
It's already designed and it has what you're saying, so
Oh, okay.
if that would maybe the easier way to
I
quantify,
apologize, I wasn't here last time.
so that the public's not
missed that.
confused, the votes aren't confused of what you're putting as your condition.
Then okay, I withdraw what I said just now. If this building's already been specified as far as the function's concerned and the size, and you're all happy with it, it's really a restroom facility, then I'm happy.
Well,
So no more than that.
No more than that, no.
yeah, then you still want to add a condition for the approval to limit a building size, because that was your original concern.
Yeah.
So you just want to limit the size to what has been discussed in public meetings, the workshop, and is agreed to in the shared use agreement. I'm going to guess it's 2,500 square feet, but that is just a guess. It is definitely less than 5,000 square feet.
Sounds good to me, I accept that.
Okay.
But it needs a second.
He needs a second on that. Commissioner Nielsen, you second his condition. Okay, so just to, once again, since the masks and screens and a little back and forth here have muddled this, there is a, and does Commissioner Shuck have to agree with?
No.
The condition?
Wasn't his motion in the first place?
So it doesn't matter, anybody can make an amendment to the motion.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be the
Just making sure we're following protocol here. All right. So Commissioner Shuck moved to approve the special exception for Wallace Field and to allow CCA to use the field for practice and to allow a building on Wallace Field, and that the criteria have met to that, to then be added, Commissioner Reedy conditioned that a building, to limit the building size to no larger than what has already been programmed and agreed to in the shared use agreement. All those in...
But wait, and I think that the method, Mayor, would be first to vote on the amendment, discussion and vote on the amendment, and if that passes, then you would vote on the motion as amended. If the amendment fails, you would just vote on the motion without the amendment. So the first thing to vote on right now is the amendment.
Commissioner Reed is it?
Correct.
Okay, so we're going to, does everybody understand that?
Yes.
For discussion, Commissioner Gold.
I would like to move that we table this. 28% of us are not here, and I would like Commissioner Sims and Commissioner Perugno, especially since Commissioner Perugno's district is the one affected. So I'm asking that you delay this vote until both of them can be here. This is 7,000 people interested in this, in their investment, and I don't think we should take that lightly.
Point of order. This is,
That's not a point of order.
we're not required to, just because he's not here, we're
I
just
understand,
required to
but the
have
severity-
a quorum. That's four of us.
I
It
get it,
doesn't
I'm
matter
just
whether
saying
he's
that
here or not.
28% of us are not here.
And I think
Well, that doesn't matter.
you can
I
discuss
know it doesn't matter, but I'm
All right,
saying...
does anybody else, well, hold on, I can simplify this first. His motion, he actually made a motion to table this over Commissioner Shuck's motion. If that motion were approved, it would supersede the previous motions. Is there a second to table this? Seeing as there's none, let's continue to proceed. Do you have anything else beyond talking about your case?
No, I thought the idea of the buildings outside of the property were an excellent idea, and we should have considered that. This basically says we're not going to consider that.
Okay.
That's a pipe dream now. We can do that if it comes true.
I agree that the council can always revisit that if that is something that's the council's desire, but we're here to put forth this matter tonight, and that was a sidebar, really. So, okay, so we have to first vote on the amendment for our city attorney, Kurt Artman. So all those in the favor of adding the amendment that Commissioner Reedy is suggesting to limit the size building to the previously discussed, disclosed, and in the shared agreement with the school, all those in favor, Commissioner Reedy? Commissioner Nielsen?
Aye.
Commissioner Parton?
Aye.
Commissioner Shuck?
Aye.
Commissioner Gold?
Aye.
All right, motion passes unanimously, and now we go to the original motion
As amended.
as amended. And that, just to say one last time, hopefully, that Commissioner Shuck moved to approve the special exceptions for Wallace Field to allow CCA to use the field for practice and to allow a building on Wallace Field, and the criteria having been met with the amendment that there's a limitation on the building size. That was Carl Shuck's motion. We had a second by Commissioner Nielsen. All those in favor, Commissioner Reed?
Nay. What?
That's right.
What I want, I had a question.
It's just a vote.
That's what I had a question on the
Okay.
vote. I wasn't through discussing it, I'm sorry. But does this limit us to just letting them, school use it, or anybody?
Anybody?
Okay, yes.
I'm sorry, is your vote a yay or a nay, Commissioner?
Yay.
Yay. Commissioner Nielsen?
Aye.
Commissioner Parker?
Aye.
Commissioner Shuck?
Aye.
Commissioner Gold?
Nay.
All right, motion passes 4-1. Madam Clerk, please adopt the same. All right, do we have any agenda item number 4, consent items? As we have improved our processes before council, is there anyone that wishes to withdraw any of the consent items from the consent agenda so they can be discussed? Otherwise, I would ask for a motion on the floor. Or did anybody have any edit to the minutes?
They've already been corrected, so I will make the motion that we accept the amended minutes
Okay,
as they are presented in the packet that we just received.
do we have a second? Any discussion? All those in favor, we'll start with Commissioner Gold this time, we'll come the other way around. Commissioner Gold, all those in favor? Aye. And then Commissioner Shuck?
Aye.
Commissioner Park?
Aye.
Commissioner Nielsen?
Aye.
Commissioner McGee, thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Madam Clerk, please adopt the same. Citizen comments. Did we have any further comments this evening from the public? Madam Clerk? No? We're going to close for the final portion of citizen comments. Unfinished business, ordinance 2101, first reading, consideration after the fact permit, penalty for failure to obtain permit. And we have 20 minutes for this, and hopefully we can do it in a little bit less to make up some time for 7 minutes before 8 o'clock, council. And we still have over 60 minutes worth of time allotted. So without further ado, Mr. Francis.
Yes, Your Honor. The January 5th meeting, the council passed a motion to table this until this meeting, and the city attorney's office and I were to meet with the Orlando Regional Realtors Association and talk to them about the ordinance. And we did that. We did that twice. We did on January 12th and again on January 28th to resolve the issues. I think both meetings went well. And basically, you have a red line copy in your packet where we took a lot of items out because we thought they were more procedural and did not need to be in the ordinance, so we took a lot of those out. And we also took the fee for after-the-fact permit out because that's just the cost of the permit. So we don't need to actually have that in the ordinance. They're going to pay for the permit anyway, and that'll be the limitation. The only thing that, the only thing that needs to be looked at in the ordinance is it's the Orlando Regional Realtor Association. They requested that the March 1st, 2017 date be changed to the day that the ordinance is adopted. And I know that at previous council meetings, we talked about it, that would be one of the times that that we could look at. So that's on pages 1, 2, and 3 of the ordinance itself. So we would make that change from March 1, 2017 to some language that the city attorney perhaps just to say upon adoption of the ordinance. And we agreed with the Orlando Realtors Association that we would also come up with a couple educational pieces that should not be part of this ordinance that we would have available on our website, and that they would have on their website, be able to pass out to people. And also we would ask Universal Engineering to put something on their website. And so the educational piece would just basically say, hey, before you do any renovations to your home or your property, call City Hall and, see if you need it. Or if you think you've done something, call City Hall. But it just lets people know that. So anyway, we feel that this is a good ordinance now, and so actually the motion would be, unless you have other changes, that we read ordinance 21-01 for the first time at the February 16, 2021 council meeting.
Council, did you have any questions to Mr. Francis? Commissioner Nielsen?
It's not exactly a question, Mr. Francis. I've got comments.
Let's hear it.
I really would like to scrap the after the fact permit section altogether because.
I'm sorry, which section? It's still a little muffled. What section?
After the fact section, which would be page 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 5. A lot of it is already crossed out. I actually spoke with someone from the Realtors Association today. It seems that the realtors in Belle are very concerned about this. they think that it is a really bad idea. No other city around has this kind of thing. I think the date of March 1st, 2017 is totally arbitrary, and there have been changes in the state building code since that time. So I don't think there's any justification for that date. I also think that people are not going to come forward unless they know there's a good reason for it. I really believe that we should not forward this to a reading, but allow the Orlando Realtors Association to do what they said they would do. Pay for the educational piece, make it an excellent educational piece, put it out, mail it to people so nobody misses it. I think it is that important that people should know the reasons for permitting, how it benefits them, because I think that if we put it out like this, with no preparation, no educational piece preceding it, I believe that we're going to have a lot of upset people, and it's going to end up not going anywhere anyway. So what I would like to, the motion I would like to make is to not forward to a first reading, but instead work with Orlando Regional Realtors to get this educational piece done and out. Because I really think...
Well, hold on, you made a motion, Commissioner Nielsen, so with all due respect to you and your motion, does anybody second that motion before you continue to talk about what you're going to talk about?
You want to go? I'll second for discussion.
Second for discussion. Okay, continue, Commissioner Nielsen.
Okay. So again, I think that putting this out like this is kind of a recipe for disaster. I think we're going to make people really angry. They're not going to understand why. They're going to think, oh, you're going to be picking on us. How are you going to know what we did? And I mean, how will you know it? The only way we know is if somebody reports somebody, and we're going to operate this based on complaints. I'm not sure that's really a fair way to do it. And I think if we could let people know how it benefits them and do this first, I think that we'd have a lot better compliance. I think we have a history of poor compliance with permitting requirements. I don't think other communities have as much as we do, and I really suspect that it has to do with people not understanding why they need to do it and how it will benefit them and the value of their properties. And that's really, I think it's premature to put this out before we try to educate people about it.
Thank you, Commissioner Nielsen. I think one of the things I'm going to, before we have other council comment, I think Mr. Francis should weigh in here. A lot of this was discussed regretfully when you were ill.
Sure, yeah.
So there's a lot of content here that may be missing that may help you. And then I think you were at the last meeting, but I know our audio has been a little troubling. So, Mr. Francis, can you kind of jump in here on this one?
Commissioner Nielsen, who did you speak to?
I spoke with Nita Morton.
She has, I will tell you, she has absolutely no idea what the concept is all about. Her idea and why she says the realtors are gonna be upset, is she thinks that the city is gonna go out and get a bunch of search warrants to go in people's homes and check. And that's not what after-the-fact permit is for, and it's clear. And the city attorney, not this city attorney, but the city attorney's representative, Giff Chumley, agree that she has no concept of what's going on with after-the-fact permit. When you're going to sell your house and a building inspector goes in because he's required to get a building inspection and he sees unpermitted work, if we follow our ordinance, then that person may be required to tear everything out and can't sell the house. This gives that person a vehicle to come in and get a permit and then have somebody inspect it, no matter if the code is up to code or not. They would inspect it, and if it's a safe improvement, they would sign off on it, and that person could then sell their home.
Okay.
So she has no concept, and I don't think she has a good understanding of what's going on here. And it was clear from our conversations with her, especially the last one, because that was almost her exact words. Well, this allows the city to go out and get a bunch of search warrants and go in people's homes.
No, I realize that we're not going to do that, but I still think that any individual can get an inspector to come and inspect their home and tell them, if you try to sell your house, this is what you're going to have to do.
Okay, and if they find something in there that wasn't permitted, what's the process?
It's the same process, but somebody gets to do it on their own instead of feeling like they're being made to.
How do you document that? And that's exactly what we're doing here. We're making sure that work that was done over years ago, and this was brought up by Commissioner Gold.
Sure.
Work that was done years ago that may have been done under an old code, but is now safe, but not to the current code. You bring somebody in to make sure that it's safe, and that that's documented, so when you do want to sell your home, you could sell your home because now you have that permit on file. That's what that's about. And that's why we took the fine out for that, because it's the cost of the permit. You would just pay for a permit, that inspector would come in, that building inspector would come in, inspect it and say it's safe, and then you would move on. And she's a little confused as to if right now if you're working without a permit, if you're putting in a new bathroom right now, and your neighbor happens to call the city and say, I don't think they have a permit for this. We would send out a code inspector like we do right now, and then it would fall under working without a permit.
Right.
That person would then go ahead and they would be fined double the permit fee and $500. That's all this is. And again, I think that Nita is confused on what's going on here. And I don't know what she's passing along to her membership, but she's not passing along the right information in my estimation.
Well, and I wanted to clear one thing up. We asked Bob, I think it was at one of the meetings you were at, Commissioner Gold, correct me if I'm wrong, said, we want you, city manager, to go do research and see what other municipalities do. So when you said that other municipalities don't do this, that's actually factually, with due respect, incorrect, because he archived that, he brought that forth, we hashed over that, we amended the original proposal that a lot of council members thought was aggressive. So this may not change your feelings on it, but there's been a lot of homework to hone this down into something that is more reasonable and like what other municipalities have as a practice. And I shared this, and maybe you were there, maybe you weren't, but I shared this and I think it's worthwhile. As a former planning and zoning chairman for 3 years, we had a lot of after the fact stuff. We had a gentleman come in after he put a fence in his front yard in Hoffner. Nicest guy, actually British ex-Navy. His wife was currently serving the country. The board felt very compelled to approve the variance that he needed, and they didn't make him take it down to put it back up. But when it came time to say, but he should have some sort of penalty, can we make the penalty more than what it is? And Kurt's office said, no, you can't do that. So he only got paid a $35 fine. And so people that read code and then go do this go, well, what, even if I get caught, it's only $35, so I might as well do it, get it done, hope that I don't get caught. And I'm not mischaracterizing his motivations, to which I don't know. But it's happened so many times. Somewhere in that, the amount of people that have done this, people know. They know, and there's a reason they're not doing it, because they know a lot of times they're not supposed to be doing it, or they think they're saving a buck by doing it themselves and foregoing the code and having to get an architect or an engineer to build a shed, or whatever the case may be. There's an added cost to that, so they try to avoid it. We get it. But the city just does not have a very healthy hammer at this point to discourage that kind of behavior, amongst the other reasons that this was done.
Sometimes we're just ignorant. I didn't know I needed one for a ceiling fan. Who would think?
Well, okay, so, Mr. Francis, please explain the process, or even Mr. Arden. If you are someone that really didn't know, and you want to come in here and plead and appeal your fine, you still have the right to do that, right?
Say that again?
Can you appeal your after-the-fact permit fine?
There is no fine for after-the-fact permit. After-the-fact permit is something that you did, it's already complete, it's been in your house for a while. The only fee you're paying is the permit fee that you originally should have gotten in the first place. That's it. You're going to come in, you're going to fill out a permit, and you're going to pay that fee, whatever that permit was. The inspector's going to go out, take a look at it. Okay, that looks good, sign off on it, done. That's it, that's all you're paying. Working without a permit, now if Commissioner Gold is in the process of putting in a ceiling fan or anything else.
Cyclotron.
Yeah, then, he all of a sudden says, oh, wait a minute, maybe I need a permit for that. You would call up and you would say, hey, look, I need a working without a permit. I'm doing work right now, I need a permit. And we would say, okay, it would be double the permit fee like it normally is now, plus $500. If you think that's too steep, then yes, you could come to city council and you could say why you shouldn't have to pay that. And so,
But if he's done with that and 2 minutes later, somebody pops him on it, now he just goes and gets the after the fact. So really this is about catching people in the end.
If it's already done, yeah, then he would just get a normal permit and that's it.
Okay, so this has been changed to what I originally, I misunderstood that piece about the after the fact permit. We originally had a fine in there when this all started and it's been reduced.
Right.
That's right. Okay, my apologies. Well, we have a motion on the floor. We have a second for discussion. I think we have to respect council and take a vote. So all those in favor, of not moving forward with ordinance 21-01 for the first time at the February 16th council meeting. That was a motion by Commissioner Nielsen. It was seconded by Commissioner Gold for discussion. All those in favor, Commissioner Gold.
I said, can we rescind our second now, or is it too late to do that?
I think you can.
I rescind my
Let's
second.
withdraw the motion.
Okay. Do we have another motion, council? Yes, Commissioner Burton.
May I make a clarification before I make a motion?
Absolutely.
I just wanted to, I thought I heard the city manager mention that we could alter the date from March 1st, 2017 to the day this is passed, so that it's not so far.
Adopted. The date's adopted, yes.
Okay. And that's the way it's gonna happen anyway? Or should I need to add that to my motion?
I don't think you need to add that to your motion because I've made that change.
That's what I
Now
thought.
I'll go with that.
So that date is gone, right? Already?
March 1st, 2017 is not.
I don't know if you didn't hear that earlier. You said that's done. Okay.
Yeah, the effective date under section 7 is the date, the ordinance shall become effective immediately upon adoption by the city council of the city of Belle Isle, Florida.
And it's not retroactive beyond the date that it becomes,
That's correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure that was clear to everybody. I move that we read ordinance 21-01 for the first time at the February 16, 2021 council meeting.
We have a second.
I will second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor, Commissioner Parton?
Aye.
Commissioner Gold?
Aye.
Commissioner Shuck?
Aye.
Commissioner Nielsen?
No.
Commissioner Reedy?
Okay, go.
Okay. Motion passes 4-1. Madam Clerk, please adopt the same. New business, request of Pioneer Days to hold event at Wallace Field. Mr. Francis, before we get into that, we did have one citizen comment for that. Would you like me to read that first, or would you like me?
I could go, Your Honor, because it's in line with that, but I spoke to, who's the chair? Billy
Morgan or?
Billy Morgan. I spoke to Billy Morgan the other day, and he said that he appreciates us wanting to take a look at this. However, he would like to pull from the agenda, and he wants to pull from the agenda because tomorrow night their board is meeting about 4 o'clock via Zoom, and they're going to discuss 3 options: to cancel the event, to work with Orange County Parks and Rec to postpone the event to a later date, or to move it to an alternate site. So until we know that, you could pull this from the, I think you could pull this from the agenda. He thinks that it's going to be either option 1 or 2. When we talked about what they're going to have to do if they want to put it on Wallace Field, I think that might be a little too much too soon for Pioneer Days to do. But he's very appreciative that we would look at that, and he looks forward to partnering with the city on other events. So I know that Mrs. Lance sent an email in today to ask for it to be pulled, so I would say that council should just pull this item from the agenda and move on.
So we do. Okay, we'll make a motion. Yeah, okay. All right, unless there's any objection, we're just going to pull that and keep moving. Thank you, council. RFP for modernizing audio-visual equipment in council chambers. Mr. Francis, please lead the way.
Yes, Your Honor. We have been getting a lot of complaints about the way our council audio-visual system works. It was working well when we had Oak Ridge doing it, but since Oak Ridge is no longer doing it, it has not worked well, and we just don't have the infrastructure to do a good meeting. So this is to go out with a request for proposals from people who could come in and do an actual, take a look at the room, take a look at all of our system, and then give us a system that we will be able to use. Now, in the RFP, I've stressed it at least twice, that we don't have the staff to man equipment. So it has to be very simple that the city clerk could manipulate the equipment at her station. And so, because we don't have a lot of extra people, we could have manning cameras and doing audio. So it has to be like a one-person system and very simple. So if council agrees to the RFP, then we'll go out with the RFP. When we get people in, then the budget committee will take a look at these and see if it can work into the budget.
Why do I just have visions of the clerk with a joystick that has a mayor ejection button at the top of it? Mayor ejection button at the top of it.
Well, actually, the mayor and clerk have mute buttons. So.
I don't think I like that.
Okay. Thought we could use a little brevity. Okay. My apologies.
So if you have no questions, then we'll move forward with dates.
Commissioner Reedy has a question.
I think it's just a suggestion. We ought to do this to say, what you just said about, make one that's easy to use by a clerk, subject to the city operators approving it, that it's easy to use. Because if the city itself, clerks can't use it at all, they can claim that anybody can use it, but it should be written in such a way that we have control over final acceptance.
It is, and they have to, when they come in, they have to actually grab the city clerk and say, work this, and it comes with
Okay.
training, of course.
If you got a plan, I'm all right with it.
Yeah. It won't be a technical guru doing all this and her watching. She'll actually be doing it.
Okay.
All right, Commissioner Gold had a question.
Prior to doing this RFP, I would really like a chance to spend, say, up to $500 maybe. I've got a solution that will work with our existing AV equipment if we're satisfied with that. I mean, we've got great video right now. What we have is terrible audio. The reason we have terrible audio is because that thing over there is our microphone and we're way over here. And that's a really lousy microphone. We could interface into the audio system that we built back in 2015, and I think everybody's reasonably satisfied with the audio PA. You're able to hear it out there and everything's fine. That thing drives the court recorder and everything. It makes our official audio recordings for the meetings. If I had an ability to get a wire from over there to over there, I could solve this. And we can do that. And I bought one once, but I misled you. I bought the wrong cable. I bought an interface that only does the output from the iPad and not the input. For $120, they have a device that allows me to put the input into the iPad, and that would allow us to work with what we're already doing, only now you'd have great audio.
Commissioner Gold, I think that is a very generous offer. I think, as a matter of, in my humble opinion, I think it'd be in the council's best interest to move forward with the RFP process so they can cover their rears, your rears, and have some accountability that you went and sought a professional solution for something that has been a serial issue. And then the council can weigh your option once they have back the cost and how that actually performs. And then council, you could weigh which direction you want to go. But I think for your own interest, I think you should move forward with the RFP.
Okay. We can do both in parallel.
So that I really feel strongly that the people in the city want to see that we're taking their requests seriously, that because of this pandemic, that we owe it to them to give them high quality audio and visual. And again, it's very commendable that you want to be part of the solution. I just think we need to kind of do a hybrid here, run one trap one way and then run your trap simultaneously and then bring them back forth for council.
So if I get mine done in 2 weeks, then we can cancel the RFP? No harm, no foul?
We can.
Okay, I'm all for it.
I just don't think the council will know what they're gaining or losing if they don't have the RFPs to compare what you're offering to.
Fair enough.
I do, I believe in you.
I made
But
that one.
you can say no to all of the RFPs, so, I mean, to all the responses, so. You may not have a choice to come back to Commissioner.
That one was $500.
So, Commissioner Parton.
I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, sir.
I move that we direct the city manager to advertise for proposals for modernizing the council chambers audio, visual, and recording system.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Parton to move forward with the RFP, and we had a second by Commissioner Nielsen. All those in favor, Commissioner Parton?
Aye.
Commissioner Nielsen?
Aye.
Commissioner Reedy?
Nope.
Commissioner Shutt?
Aye.
Commissioner Gold?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1. Madam Clerk, please adopt the same. Mr. Francis, next is the policy for the installation of speed humps. 15 minutes.
Yes, Your Honor. In the past 2 months, we've had requests to install speed humps in Detweiler Shores, Lake Conway Shores, and on Seminole Drive. And it just seems that these are getting a little bit more prolific. The city has no policy on how we install speed humps and what is the specifications for speed humps. And I know I received a telephone call from a person on Neal and near Seminole that he said that the speed, he called them speed mountains, on Neela, that every time his high-performance car had to go over a speed hump, it would scrape, so he ended up selling his high-performance car. In order to bring a policy and decide where speed humps are going to be installed and what the criteria is, we came up with this policy. I ran it by the police chief, and basically this policy would be that we take speed counts, we take traffic data from the speed trailers that we own, we do traffic counts, and then we take a look at some other criteria. People have to go out. If you live in an HOA, you have to get 75% of the people involved in the HOA where it's going to be. If it's not an HOA, then you have to go to the adjacent streets because, for example, Seminole, if people don't like speed humps on Seminole, they're going to cut down Barbie and Indian. So now, and then the people on Barbie and Indian would want speed humps. So these type of things have to be all looked at, and I think the policy is a simple one, but I think it's a good one and it's self-explanatory.
Council, questions? Commissioner Reed.
Well, just to give you a little history, we had an engineering firm look at the speed humps required on Neela and the Homewood which parallels it. And then we gave one of our city commissioners a license to design his own speed hump, and it has got to be huge. They built them kind of on the fly. So I'm not surprised, because that's the first thing I did when I got into office. I said, what was the criteria for those speed humps? Well, there wasn't any. They just made it up as they went. And if we got some good engineering background now, since these are cities all over this country, I imagine we got some criteria we can turn to and correct these old speed humps and also put in new ones correctly.
I would love to see another fountain on your side.
I would too.
That mirrors the fountain we did and corrects that and makes that more of a roundabout than that awkward, I don't know how cheaper Mr.
We
Francis.
tried to do that, but at the time our city mayor was an engineer and he didn't think it could be done. So it got dropped, but maybe that needs to be reviewed. I would like to see that very much.
That looks like an arbitrary setup to me, but I'm not a traffic expert.
Yeah.
It feels like one when you're trying to drive it. So. Other questions, comments, council? Do we have a motion?
I move that we adopt a policy for the installation of speed humps.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Any comment? Discussion? Commissioner Gold.
People in my neighborhood are adamantly against the idea of speed humps on Cullen Lake Shore or through there. In fact, one of them, I've got all their letters from back when I sampled opinions a couple of years ago. There are certain places where they say would cause them physical discomfort. And of course, the fire department doesn't want them in there either.
Dr. Sam,
Yes.
yeah.
So he specifically said it would cause him pain, if he had to deal with speed humps there. So we're not thinking about going into the individual neighborhood.
We're not going to do them at all. The neighbors have to come to us.
Okay, very good. So it'll be by public consensus.
Exactly, and part of that criteria is that it has to be reviewed by the police and fire department, that it's not a route for them.
Good, all right. So that should cover that, because we have several very vocal people that want them, and then quite a few people that are generally not so vocal that have adamantly said they don't want them.
Well, I've been hauled in the rescue car across a few times in the rescue wagon. When you go across some of our speed humps, I think they can terminate some people. So we need some good criteria, better what we have now.
Thank you, Commissioner Reed. All right, we have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Horton. We have a second by Commissioner Nielsen. All those in favor, Commissioner Horton?
Aye.
Commissioner Nielsen?
Aye.
Commissioner Reed?
All right.
Commissioner Shutt?
Aye.
Commissioner Gold?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Madam Clerk, please adopt the same attorney's report.
Pass, Mayor, thank you.
All right, city manager's report issues log.
Yes, Your Honor, I don't have an issues log this time, because there wasn't much to update, but I want to talk real quick about a couple things. We are still looking for committee members, and a couple of these committee members, Budget Committee and P&Z, are district. They're done by district. And we're having a tough time getting people to want to come on these in district. So what I want to know is if council would be willing to take a look at an ordinance change that says if it's a district, we'll advertise twice. If we don't get anybody that's interested in the district, then we could put somebody on at large.
All right.
Yeah, so P&Z, we have District 3 open. The Tree Board, we have 2 openings, and Solid Waste Committee, we have 1, and then the Budget Committee, we have 1. So,
didn't we get an application from George Travis for the tree board?
He's a candidate.
Okay.
And
He's a candidate
they'll
that,
probably visit at the next meeting.
Okay.
but Budget and P&Z are 2 important ones.
Yep.
So would the council entertain writing up an ordinance change to allow at large if we don't get district membership?
I would certainly entertain it.
So I think it's being highly supportive of the committees and seeing what wonderful work they do and the balance they bring to the city. I don't know that you have a choice. I think you should. The only question I have is, you know, are we suffering this because of the pandemic and people feel like they're going to have to come out and they don't want to do that right now, so we're getting less participation, and so maybe this needs to be something that is, you know, has a tail to it? Or is this something we want to, and this is a question for council and Mr. Francis, is something we want to do in perpetuity? But if a candidate did arise that wanted to do it, you still had to guarantee the person at large a certain amount of time, because it's not fair to say, hey, you know, Rick, would you step up and do this over here in this district? He does it, and then he's in the middle of, like planning and zoning, sometimes we're in the middle of rewriting an ordinance for docks. And that can take 4 to 6 meetings, and now you lose the continuity of having that person because somebody else popped up. Or is it just if they're appointed, that's it? I think
They're appointed until that term is up.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
term, yeah.
Fair enough. Okay.
So is that okay if we draft something like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
every effort should be made to stick with the districts, and if it's just
Yep.
fruitless, then yes.
All right, we were looking at, the Solid Waste Committee is looking at an electronic recycling day, February 20th here at City Hall from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. They're going to make final arrangements this Thursday at their meeting, but again, that's a Saturday, and we already have somebody come in and collect all the electronic and go from there. And I think after that, they'll be looking at doing some sort of household hazardous waste. I'd like to try and put together an open house at the Bank of America building. We talked a little bit about it before. I'd like to try and do it on, I think it's Wednesday, February 25th, maybe from 6 to 7. And we used to have these large maps up from our traffic plan. And so I would like to be able to have people come in and look at the Bank of America building. I had Chairman Brooks in there from the CCA the other day, and he said he's been in there many times, but he was very surprised when he went in there to see what it was like without a lot of stuff in there, and that what potential it could have. So, but I would like to put up the maps that the traffic consultant looked at, so people actually come in and could take a look at the bank, and they could also do comments on the traffic plan. So would the Wednesday, February 25th be okay for council? It's the day after the P&Z meeting, 6 to 7.
Works for me.
Okay. And then the last thing, maybe, I think this could be attributed to us and the skill of our city attorney. But I was looking at the FWC website, and they are holding a meeting on February 25th and 26th, and they are looking to change the boating restriction area criteria. And part of that criteria is that they will be, when you want to do a boating restricted area, you will be able to, if the police have issued citations or even warnings, they will count into the substantial evidence, and videos will count into substantial evidence. And I think this is probably from the pressure that we kind of put on them. And then the other one that they are looking at is how to correctly establish restricted hunting areas. And now they are looking at a restricted hunting area of 300 feet. So I think that goes to what our city attorney has been working on a lot. It's getting them to change their rules, and maybe that'll make at least the boating restricted areas a little bit easier to get. And so at the next meeting, I'm going to introduce an application to the council to approve to go to the FWC so we could actually write an ordinance for our canoe trails. That's in our comp plan, because that is an outright approval process according to the FWC. So we could get a 100-foot buffer around the South Lake and around the Central Lake, and then we have to review our comp plan in 2024. So I'm going to ask them that we are probably going to put a canoe trail around the north part of the lake, so could they include that also? So that'll be on the next agenda for your approval. And if you approve that, then we'll get that up to the, we'll get that up and see where we're going to go. And maybe as part of that, we're going to look at maybe making the sandbar as a designated swim area. And this way, there won't be as much boating traffic in there, and they may have a mooring spot outside. So these are things we could do within the guidelines of the FWC, so it may give us some control. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Francis. You usually call for the chief report.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have anything?
So just let you a couple notes first up. For the month of January, we wrote 464 either citation or traffic warnings for the month of January. We're focusing very heavily on that. We also applied for a new coronavirus emergency funding. It's just north of $49,000, so hopefully we hear something back from that soon. We also, it is on Friday, February 5th, is National Crossing Guard Appreciation Day. So if anybody happens to see a crossing guard in the travels, say thank you. That's what I got.
Did she say those 400, maybe I didn't hear you.
Yeah.
Did she say those 416 citations were the camera, red light camera?
No.
Okay, I think that might have been. Yeah, I think she sent me an email today also saying that.
Yeah, I'm not positive, I'm sorry.
Okay, excellent. Thanks for stepping in today. Good to see you. How's the family?
Very good. Little one's getting big quick, so.
Awesome. All right, mayor's report to keep us on time. I do not have a lot other than to say we've got Valentine's Day between the next meeting, so happy Valentine's Day, Belle, and good to hear from you on that. And as usual, I appreciate all the council members and all the work you do, all the volunteer work you guys do, and I just appreciate everybody here. And without further ado, my main man who I've missed, I'm going to go with council reports, Commissioner Reedy. And by the way, your driveway looks really nice.
Huh?
Was it your driveway just recently repaved?
Yeah.
Looks very nice.
In fact, I did call the city to see if I needed the permit. I wasn't sure, even though I'm on the council. He said no. So anyway, yeah, it did nice.
After the fact, buddy.
No, I called up.
Yeah, totally teasing him.
I don't do that. Anyway, thank you all for putting up with me. I'll be out of here in another month or so. It's been a joy and it's been a miserable too, but mostly a joy because you guys are a fine bunch of people, the cities are a fine bunch of people, and I've really enjoyed serving you all, and I may have done not the best job that some people will do, but I hope I've done a little bit to impact the city for the good and not for the bad. So with that, I will say, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Reed. Commissioner Nielsen.
I don't think I have anything tonight.
Commissioner Park.
Oh, I do, I'm sorry. I really would like us to start having workshops. I think Commissioner Shuck is right about that.
I think that'll be coming. Commissioner Shuck. I'm sorry, Commissioner Park, just to confirm you didn't have anything?
I would just say I'm very much for workshops as well.
Agreed. Thank you. Commissioner Shuck.
The only thing I'd like to say is this is directed at my fellow citizens of Belle Isle. You heard Bob mention that sometimes we have problems filling board and committee vacancies, and I would definitely encourage anybody who would like to be involved to take the time. It's not that difficult, and the city's taking all the precautions we can to keep it safe in here, so please volunteer if you can. Thank you.
Great message, Commissioner Shuck. Commissioner Gold, end us on a high note.
Well, could always thank the police department. You guys are doing a spectacular job. We had a minor mishap with some people on Facebook going off on what they thought they read that was incorrect, and one of the sergeants corrected that for me. I passed him on my walk and told him what people on Facebook were saying, and he drove back around and caught me on my walk again and said, no, it's actually this, and completely corrected all of that. So they are on the ball and on top of everything, and I'm really impressed at how many times I find them in my own neighborhood, at crazy hours, that you wouldn't expect them to be patrolling, but they are. So thank you for that.
We haven't.
How's that for a high note?
After the next guy.
Or you want me to keep stalling?
No, you're good.
I'm just kidding.
We have one last announcement. We have a tree board meeting next Monday here at council. They're usually at 6 and not 6:30. Is that still the?
Yes.
Tree board meeting next Monday, the 8th at 6 o'clock. Awesome. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Let's do it.
That was